Hello, and welcome to the next level. We are happy to have you with us on this glorious evening, and hopefully there will be lots of fun for you to also participate in, because tonight's offer that we will hopefully get from you. So I'm going to do another magic number episode. So I have picked a number, and whenever that is rolled, perhaps strange and funny, interesting things will happen. Tell me what those strange and funny and interesting things are, and I will make sure to have some things happen if that number is rolled. Okay, and I've already determined the number. It is right here on my special card. So, without further ado, I shall recap. Our heroes have been traveling all over the area around Silver Lake, acquiring much renown, have gone into the Shadow Forest, have defeated the Fire Soul in the mines at High Fort, have defended the Temple of the Archmage, and most recently have demolished Gildy's house, and then fixed it again. They have now returned to Silver Lake to perhaps gather some equipment, some items, and maybe gather some people to help them on their hopefully final quest into the Shadow Forest to defeat the darkness there once and for all. In the last episode, there was some pit fighting where our heroes had met the Guard twins, Melinda and Belinda, who they had known from some adventures previous to the streaming game. And they have hired on to come with the group as well as the one odd halfling that maybe has a thing for Talon. We're still trying to figure that out, or maybe Talon has a thing for her, we're not quite sure. Named Cass, and she has also agreed to be hired on for this adventure. And we left off with Talon, Jacob, and Leon in the Hand of the Mystic, a magic shop, haggling and acquiring some interesting magical items. And we will pick up with them in a moment, but first, I'm curious what Gildy and Mint and Torok are doing as that morning progresses.
Mint is just picking up a few commonplace items that I'm sure could be found at any weapon shop. She just wants to replenish her bolts. She wants to get more rations than she picked up last time, as people seemed to not have the forethought to pick up rations, Leon. And I'm just doing that. So I'm just going to spend money and get those things.
That's good.
And
Something that I'm not sure you've established is you're going to be going back in. You do have horses. Are you going to be taking the horses back in with you? Because if so, you could carry more, and if not, you could sell them and get more money.
I don't know if I need a horse, but if everybody else wants to keep their horse so we travel faster. But I understand you're not traveling as light, because then you need oats for the horse and stuff. Yeah. But at the same time, free horse.
Yeah. So something to think about. Torok, what were you saying?
Oh, I was about to say Torok would be accompanying Mint
Okay.
in the hopes of finding something interesting in the stores. But beyond that, just he's got enough. Torok's got, as I said, about 24 days worth of rations, so he should be well covered.
If you bring that horse, you can extend that by like at least 4 days.
That's a big horse. Well, Torok's a big guy too. So.
Yes, I have heard legendary horses who were named emergency rations, I believe was the name. Yeah.
Oh, to be a horse.
Yeah. And anything Gildy is doing?
Gildy similarly is picking up like arrows, and she wants to upgrade her armor a little bit. So she's probably wandering around with Mint and Tor.
Okay, sounds good. Alphonse says he's going to sort of do his own thing for the morning as well, and sort of wander around. He's a little bit lamenting the loss of his staff of the Woodlands, which you had given to Morgan, and thinking maybe there's something to replace that with. Maybe he'll look for something. All right. So, in that case, for Leon and Talon and Jacob, assuming there wasn't anything else that you wanted to do at the Head of the Mystic, as you leave, Leon, you come outside, and I'm assuming whether you had Ranu with you or was, perched nearby, Ranu is keeping a close eye on things. Give me a perception check.
You're making me afraid, Rob.
I am making you very afraid.
You are. I don't like it.
Okay. Oh, that's with
goodness.
advantage.
Yeah, because Ranu has advantage for
Yeah.
perception checks for sight and smell.
All right. Yep.
Yeah.
Everything seems ordinary for Ranu. Nothing to be concerned about here.
Guess we're
Great.
losing their bag of holding this episode.
No.
Where would you three like to head to? It's getting probably about late morning by this point. You might want to consider a lunch soon, but there's still a decent amount of day left.
All right.
Lunch sounds delightful.
Jacob, would you be interested? I have the ability to scribe scrolls, and if you wish, I believe I have some spells that you might also be able to cast, so I could make you a spell scroll, perhaps of grease, if you were interested, since I've just recently gotten that spell.
No, it would be pretty good as a backup. Thank you.
All right. The scrolls are 25 gold pieces for a first level spell. Is that's more than you were hoping for, I take it?
He fumbles through his coin purse. I just spent a lot on this. Oh no, I've already used up. And he tries to use the hat to make a bunch of
Yes.
doves appear, but he's already used it once per day. Gotta remember when I use that each day so that the flourish works.
That is true. I will try to remind you. Well, let me know, and it is something that I have an option for. I realize grease might not be the most useful spell, but it could come in handy every now and again.
Yeah, let me think on that. That I could see some use in that.
Certainly.
Will you be essentially retiring for the rest of the day to start putting that together?
Well, I mean, he hasn't said that he's really that
Okay.
interested in it, so I don't know. Leon doesn't have anything in particular that she really wants to do at this point.
All right. So mostly it's just
yeah.
still some sort of basic stuff. You're waiting for sort of the couple of days for your special item to be created. Other than that, if there's nothing else that people are particularly interested in looking at. Oh wait, there's a note.
Yeah.
Ah, yes. Okay. So Torok, you and Mint and Gildy walk into a fine armorer's shop in the crafters district. There's a dwarf behind a lower than usual counter who sort of smiles up at you. He's like, "Ah, yes, hello, come on in. Oh, look like some interesting folk. What can I get you today?"
Torok goes over. I'm interested in a shield.
A shield. Any in particular type of shield? Wooden shield, metal shield, round crest?
Torok looks at metal.
Metal. Okay. You're a fairly big fellow. We can size one up. I think I have something just that would work for you. One moment. He runs into sort of the back of his shop, brings out sort of a slightly larger than usual. It's mostly rounded, sort of slightly oval shaped shield. And it does have some very nice work on it. It's got sort of some inlaid scroll work on sort of around the edges. It still looks like it's nice and sturdy and will resist things. But he sort of takes a look at you. It's like, yeah, this might be something that you could try out if you like.
Oh, Torok will pick it up and try it on for size.
Yeah. It's a pretty good size on you. It feels like just a tad bit small given your larger size, but it's got pretty good coverage.
There, how much?
Oh, I could part with that one for about. Oh, I almost highly misquoted you. For about 40 gold.
All right, done. No.
Great. Okay.
You need to learn to haggle.
I like you. You can come back anytime you like. And you know what? Here, I'm gonna throw in these. He throws in sort of some polish and sort of an extra whetstone you can use. Like, here you go. I'll throw those in for free.
You overpaid. He's giving you free stuff.
Yep. You have a very nice full-size shield. Oh,
Is there any interesting armor? Gildy's just while Tor is shopping, Gildy's gonna like look around and see if there's any interesting magic stuff.
Nothing magical. There's some very nice armor in here, in sort of both ends of the spectrum of being like extremely well crafted and sturdy, and also very gaudy. But yeah, you sort of look for stuff that's in your size. This is mostly metalwork, so there's some chain shirts and some chain mail. There's breastplate and the scale mail for the sort of medium-sized armors. There is actually a nice breastplate that's looks like it's sort of meant for a smaller individual. Again, well made, very sturdy, doesn't look very gaudy or flashy at all. And it's sort of currently got a price listed on it for about 450 gold pieces.
Okay.
Actually,
I think
it is smaller than usual. I'll say it's actually 350 gold pieces because it is slightly smaller.
okay. I think Gildy will just keep looking around.
Yeah.
And just
all right.
kind of browse while waiting for Torque to finish up.
All right. Yeah, assuming that's most of what you're looking for there. Mint, was there any new armor you were looking for?
It's good.
All right. All right. So yes, you come out of there. The dwarf heartily welcomes you back anytime you'd like. And yes, is very happy to have had your business. Yeah.
And Tora just looks at Mint and goes, "Okay, fine. Next time you buy."
You do a little other bits and pieces of shopping throughout the morning, and you can, meet others at the Muse for lunch if you'd like.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Everyone, meets up back at the Muse, and Jacob, your sister happens to be playing as the sort of afternoon starts.
Excellent. I kind of settle in, get her attention as I sit down, maybe wave over and order a meal.
Yep. She sort of nods at you, sort of not interrupting her act. And of course, Yumi, her very persistent shadow, glares at you in her usual way. Yeah. But yeah, you have a nice lunch. Probably slightly on the expensive side lunch because you are eating in sort of a more upscale side of things. What's your average value for a meal here?
When Gildy notices that Yumi is glaring at Jacob, she just looks at Jacob. She's like, "What did you do?" That one's not happy with you.
Yeah. Your lunch options are probably anywhere from 5 to 8 silver pieces, depending on how much you'd like. But
So Turox is 8.
yes.
Turok, since you're broke, I'll buy you lunch.
Turox just looking at it, I'm not broke, but okay.
I'll also prepay for either lunch or dinner for my sister and Yumi.
That's good. All right.
So let me know how much you need to.
Oh, yes. If you're going to prepay for them for both, probably, let's say, if you wanted to provide like a nice meal for both, you could do like 2 silvers.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, not 2 silvers, 2 gold. That would be a very nice meal.
Done.
2 silvers would be a pretty, yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I'm a pretty charming fellow, I think. I'm not sure why she doesn't like me.
That Leon accidentally snorts out loud. and then covers it up by choking on her food.
That's good. Someone has reminded me, thankfully. I keep forgetting to offer inspiration dice when people do things that particularly either pertain to your backstory or you're particularly playing your character very well. So if others of you notice moments like that, feel free to point them out to me so I can remember to do that. Okay, so yeah, lunch finishes. The bard on stage has a bit of a break and comes down and says hello to Jacob, and it's like, it's really nice to see you. I didn't know you were back in town.
Just a little bit. We're kind of doing odd jobs right now. I feel kind of well employed. I've found a little bit more about myself.
Oh.
Yeah, just this may sound weird, but I've been told I need to seek out some queen in the West.
Queen in the West. Most of the empires have been conquered. There's not really many queens left.
The one of the elves. The Elanine elves?
The queen of the Elanine elves.
Yeah, I think your last name is Siori. That sounds familiar.
That's why would you need to see her out? They're very secretive people.
Has something to do with my imaginary friend from young. I'm pretty sure she's not imaginary.
Oh. Okay. And this queen has more information about her?
Apparently.
That is strange indeed.
Well, you see, my imaginary friend told me I had to go find someone that knows a lot about death, and so I asked some wonderful monks. We stayed in a quaint little village. It blew up spectacularly, but we almost died, but didn't quite. So now I get to go seek out a queen of the elves that might know something about my imaginary person. That I'm definitely not hallucinating.
Gildy kicks Jacob under the table for revealing so much of where they have been.
Admittedly, that was a pretty odd description of where you have been, but yes.
That was a lot of exposition right there.
Gildy's very paranoid about people finding Morgan, and so anything like that, she's gonna be like,
I'm really glad I didn't decide to have Leon correct Jacob that it wasn't actually a village.
Yes.
Maybe thinks about it, and then Gildy kicks Jacob, and then Leon's like, oh, I won't say anything because I'll get kicked. So he said the queen of the Elanine elves, correct?
Yes.
But he didn't give a name?
I just did.
Siori?
Siori is the last name.
Okay.
Naelva Siori.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wait, you're royalty. Do you know who this person is?
Give him another kick.
yeah, Gildy kicks Jacob again.
What? It's not like I'm announcing I'm an artificer or anything. Wait. And Jacob kicks himself.
Okay, at this point, Min picks up her meal. Min picks up her meal and goes to another table. She's done.
Okay. So
I was in a fight for real last night in a gladiator pit. I lost. I think it may have hit my head a little bit.
You were what? Why would you do that?
To make some money. Now, I didn't make much money because I lost, but my friends were spectacular, and I bet lots of money on them. And look, I have all these great things like this. Damn it! Come back tomorrow. I'm going to show you a really neat trick.
I'll be here all week. Okay. I will do that. Are you sure? Is he okay? Sort of asked to the rest of the group.
no.
Do you have any songs that you do that would be accentuated with a flock of doves?
Probably. Why do you ask?
Okay. We'll talk tomorrow.
Perhaps when doves cry?
Yes.
Worst part is I thought the same thing. I'm so glad I'm sitting at another table.
It turns out she's really a princess. Makes it funnier.
Yes.
Could have been darker. Could have picked Take These Broken Wings.
Jeez.
Yeah.
All the birds just flop out onto the ground.
Oh no.
Oh, did I have to leave the air holes open on this thing?
Okay, so should Leon make a deception check for when Jacob was like, "Well, you're royalty," and Leon would have been like, and then tried to recover from that nonchalantly?
Sure. Give me
All
a
right.
deception check.
Excellent.
Well, are you just deceiving? Or are you actually saying something? Are you?
Trying to cover
Yay.
up the
Contradicting.
yes. You do a decent job of yeah,
Choking
not
on my food
reacting.
again.
Yes.
I'm like, it worked once. It's sure to work a second time. All right.
I
Then
mean,
will make...
you know a lot about history and the lands. I wonder if in any of your reading, studying, and things, if you would come across the name that I had in a book.
Does Leon get a negative because Jacob is still talking?
No.
Ooh.
Okay, so where it's the Elanine Forest, isn't it?
Yes.
And that would not be. Yeah, that's not.
I looked
that's
on a
not
map. It is nowhere close to here.
Yeah, but I don't think it's anywhere. I have advantage to a couple places because of all the reading I've done, but I don't think that's one of the places.
You can roll a history check to see what you know just by being an elf, and them being elves, and kin and that sort of thing.
And just
19.
Yep.
So yes, what you know is the Aelanine elves are fairly secluded and keep to themselves. As such, not a lot is known about them. If they go out into the world, it is often because they sort of choose to for very specific reasons. They have sort of their own quests that they go out upon. Things that you do know: the cities in the forest are rumored to be quite magnificent, sort of in and amongst the trees, and there's sort of three main cities that are known. In fact, I will give you their names. One moment.
And Leon basically rhymes all of this information off because that's what Leon does.
Yes.
Especially to cover Jacob's foolishness.
Where are we here? Aelanine Forest. Three major cities are Daltheori, which is the capital, Neatheori, which is a sort of secondary city, and Mreosi. All are rumored to be sort of these magnificent cities in and sort of in the treetops, but also sort of in and around the trees as well.
Okay. And sorry, what was the second one?
Fury.
One moment. Neatheori. Yeah. Neatheori.
Okay, cool. And the queen's name again, sorry?
Queen's name is Nielva Seori.
Okay. And do I know anything about her?
Just making sure. Nielva Seori. There is something you have heard. You rolled just sort of close enough to a 20. There's something you've heard that you not sure you believe. And that is that she is immortal, that she has been alive for thousands and thousands of years, longer than even sort of the usual expected lifespan of an elf.
Right. Cool. Then I definitely mentioned that. And you said that you were told to seek someone who knew who knew things about death, correct?
Yeah, seems odd for someone that's immortal.
Well, no, I would think that that makes perfect sense, as they apparently know plenty about death and how to avoid it.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes, your sort of sister joins you for a bit of this, and then, unfortunately has to run off and go back and perform for a little bit. But she says, yes, she will meet you for dinner, and you can have a chat that evening. Any other big plans for the afternoon?
I think if we don't have anything else to do, then I think that Leon is actually going to make a spell scroll.
Okay.
Because I have a spell that would be handy that I just never use, so I'll make a spell scroll of it.
All right.
Fog cloud.
So again, something that you might want to discuss as a group is the sort of horse situation. Do you think you might want to be taking them into the Shadow Forest? Will they be a hindrance, or will they be something that you might want to sell now, or take to the edge of the forest and leave there? Any thoughts on how you want to handle the horse situation?
Would Gildy be aware of any like stables or something that's close to like the edge of the forest that they can maybe like ride the horses to and then sell them there?
Not really. There's not many villages at all.
Mhm.
The best luck you could have is probably to sell them to a farmer or stable them in a farmer's barn. But even that would be probably still a little ways away from where you'd be entering the forest. They don't tend to have their farms too close to the edge of the forest.
Mhm.
What
So
is
then Gildy is gonna suggest that they get rid of sell the horses while they're in town.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what was the traveling time, either on horse or on foot, from here to the forest?
That's a good question. Do you know where you're going?
Oh yeah, no, not yet. Gildy wanted to use she's got the Seeking Stone amulet that she got right before they went to her house to save Alphonse.
Yep.
So with this, I'm just gonna read the description. Let's see. Bear concentrates on a person. I get advantage on wisdom and intelligence. Noted. If the bear concentrates on a person they are familiar with for 10 minutes, the stone will rise on its cord and point to that person unless that person is hidden. If the ranger sees someone they are not familiar with, but for whom they have a name, personal item, or vague description image, there's a 5% chance per level chance that they can find them. So Gildy saw when the gnome guy, when they were looking for him, she saw the person who seemed to be one of the leader sort of thing for the shadow bubbles, and so she has like a vague description in mind, and so she will use the amulet to hopefully have that point in the right direction.
All right.
Right, but we don't actually need to do that because we do know where that shadow dome is.
You know what that dome is, but you don't know if that's the dome you want.
But we know that the domes have portals within them to other domes.
True.
All we need is one dome, and then we can find whatever other dome we want, and we can always remove domes as we go. I mean, that's what personally, Leon is all about saving as many people as possible. So, like, we know where a dome is. That's where she figures we should hit, and then she's going to want to use the remove curse. Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. The remove curse and do the ritual to save the people from that dome, and then move on. That's what her preference would be.
The trouble is, it sort of depends on the order you do things. When you destroy the orb at the center of the dome, the portals close.
Yeah, but at least that would be a starting point, and then we can kind of figure out what to do from there and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or we throw all caution to the wind, jump through the portals, and defeat it once and for all. Go Team Adventure. What's the name of our team?
Torchlight.
Torchlight.
Go Torchlight.
I mean, that is an option. But yeah, but Leon is very much all about we know where that portal is. We start at that, or sorry, we know where that dome is. We start at that dome.
Yeah, I mean, it's potential if this person that Gildy is seeking again has been traveling between domes, and you want to again find the potential leader of all of this, you could go directly to where they are if her amulet is able to find them.
She is level 5, so it's only a 25% chance.
Yeah, but I don't know. Again, Leon is very much about like stop all of them, free as many people as we can, and each time that we go, we can hopefully learn more about what we're up against, what their capabilities are, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, however you want to approach it.
Gildy does not have a particular preference, but she just lets everyone know about the amulet and that there's a small chance that they could locate the leader immediately, but otherwise is happy to kind of leave it up to a vote, basically.
But I believe the other decision was most likely not taking the horses.
If we want to keep the horse for future adventure, we could always try and set it up at the stables.
Yeah.
And that costs money too.
So we'll just send Torin to negotiate that.
No. No.
Wait, how did we get to that dome? Did we wind walked, didn't we?
Yep.
So we know, I mean, Gildy would be able to get us there from the temple.
Potentially even from the edge of the forest. You sort of know you were heading almost directly north towards the edge of the forest. You were getting close to the edge of the forest when you finally ended your wind walk. So potentially from the edge of the forest, you could come in to a point where you recognized enough and find that dome.
Okay. So then we could always take the horses. Since we know where it is, we could take the horses to close to the edge of the forest, leave them there, and then go do what we need to do and then have a faster way back.
But where would we put the horses? What would they do? We don't know how long it'll take us in there necessarily.
True, but if we just leave the horses with some
We'd have to leave them with one of our group.
grass, no, just grass and things, and they could just stay there and graze.
Somebody could happen along and steal our horses.
Near the Shadow Forest? Who's going to go near the Shadow Forest? Who's crazy enough to go near the Shadow Forest? Only us, friends. Only us.
Somehow I doubt this. But
there's also
mean,
animals and predators and things, but yes.
Or they could be on the outskirts of the Shadow Forest. Next thing we know, we come back and they're all like shadow beasts.
But then we have a ritual to free them.
We don't know that the horses would even stay put. They might just wander off to greener pastures.
Less shadowy pastures.
So something to think about as you spend the next couple of days in Silver Lake is what you're going to do with the horses before you leave.
This is why I don't deal with real horses, and I use my phantom steed.
Oh,
why are you even arguing the horse thing when you have a horse you can summon?
For you!
So Gildy could ask her daughter. I don't know. I know her daughter's husband is a merchant.
Yep.
And they are fairly wealthy, and so Gildy could ask if they could keep the horses for them.
Yep. If you want to have them available for later, they could probably put them up in a stable.
There we go.
Gildy wants to visit her.
Yeah.
Going off on the Shadow Forest adventure anyways, so.
All right. Is that something you would like to do this afternoon, since that's sort of where we're at the moment?
Sure.
All right.
Gildy will go find Alphonse and.
All right.
And
bring
Thor
him.
is actually fond of having the bigger horse, so.
That's true. You find Alphonse, actually, he's just getting to Kaya's house. He was going to visit her in the afternoon as well, and just happy to meet you there. He says, I don't know if it was a good thing or not. I'm afraid I'm a little out of practice when it comes to this buying of things and haggling and such, but I got this egg. And supposedly, when I break it, some mystical creature will appear that could help us in a situation. Or it might just be an egg. I don't know.
Okay, so Gildy looks at this egg and she crosses her arms and she says,
The woman really needed some money. I
how much did this egg cost?
It was about 200 gold pieces.
I hope she's a permanent resident of Silver Lake. We could come around and beat her about the brow if it turns out to be just an egg.
Well, I hope it's a magical creature that will help us in whatever we're doing and not just an egg. Sorry.
So, how was your morning?
Fairly boring. I did not drop an absurd amount of gold on something that might or may not be helpful. Yeah, did a little bit of shopping, had some lunch.
So practical. I love that about you.
Thanks, dear.
Yes, I was just going to see Kaya, and happy to see you here as well. Yes, I'm pretty much done my sort of wandering about for the morning, and if there's anything else you needed.
Nope, I was just going to head over to Kaya's. I was hoping that she might be willing to stable our horses that we got while we go back to the Shadow Forest. So,
yes, all right, fair enough. Yes, and you go in. Kaya is, as usual, a weird mix of happy and annoyed to see you because you're interrupting her very well-structured day.
Gildy never calls.
But yes, being the consummate host, make sure you have a nice little snack and a drink. It's like, was there a reason for this wonderful visit, Mother and Father? It's so nice to have you.
Yes. Well, we wanted to visit. We're about to actually leave in another day or two. We're going to the Shadow Forest.
And again, a weird mix of fear and also happiness.
But you needn't worry about us. We did want to ask if you would be willing. We have a number of horses that we have obtained that will need to be stabled. There's no really way to ride them through the forest, of course.
Right. Yes. How many? You have 7.
Seven. There are 7 horses.
Oh, well, yes. I suppose we could put them up for a little while. How long were you thinking?
We don't know, but I'd be happy to leave some money for their care, since that is a lot of horses for an unknown amount of time.
Yes, I mean, if it was a significant amount of time, would you feel horrible if we began to sell them?
Gildy considers this, and just like based on the conversation about the horses, she considers. She says, "Perhaps all but the very large one."
That is fair.
And let's say if we are gone for longer than... How long were they in the Shadow Forest before, like on our last little trip? Was that like 2 weeks?
It was about a week to get there and then get back. It was all told a week.
Okay. So Gildy says, if we are gone longer than 1 month, then please feel free to sell them all, except the very large one.
That is fair. Yes, we will be happy to put them up for that period. And you have a nice little lovely post lunch with Kaya and spend the afternoon there. I believe Leon is scribing some scrolls. If no one else has any other particularly urgent business for the afternoon. All right. I guess let me know if there's anything else that, you did want to work on that day, I think. Otherwise, we'll skip to Jacob's dinner with his sister. Okay. So yes, Lori comes and gets you when she's sort of done her afternoon bit at the Muse, and you accompany her back to where she's staying at the napping gnome, and she complains a little bit on the walk back about how when she first got here she was given sort of the prime spot in the evenings, and they have since had a new bard come into town with some newer songs, and they now have the prime spot in the evenings, and she's been given the afternoons. That's okay, and at least it's consistent business, but she's thinking maybe in the next 2 weeks, maybe a month, things don't really change. She might head out into the world again and try and find some more inspiration.
Any thoughts on where you'd want to go?
Well, I don't really know. I've been east and explored Thurn and Jayu, the Kiona Empire. I'm not sure I'd want to go west into the Mornish Empire. I get the feeling most of these songs are not happy ones, although maybe they need some happy ones, and I could bring some light to some of their lives. You mentioned the Aelanine elves. I'd be over the moon if I could get in to see them, but their forest is quite legendarily close to others. So I might head south. I've never been to Dell or Itham or any of the areas down there. Maybe I don't really know. I suppose before I go, I'll try and find someone to send you a message and at least give you a bit of information on where I'm heading, and try and keep in touch every now and then.
Yeah, if you, I don't know what's next for us, whether we have to continue to do stuff in the Shadow Forest or move on from there, but stick around town until I come back, and then perhaps if I talk to my companions, I'm sure we could enjoy the company. I mean, it's been so long since we've seen each other. I would hate to just get together and immediately depart. So maybe us traveling on the road together would be a fun time.
And actually, now that you mention it, before I go exploring to many other places, I may want to go home and just see that again.
How do you think I would be received?
Probably as well as I would. I think we've both been gone probably a little too long, and Roland might be just a little bit upset with us, but we are family, and we could help out a little bit around the farm, around the village. I'm sure there's some way we could contribute that would help make a difference.
Well, it would. To be honest, it would be good to go back to try to kind of shake the old memory loose, because I keep seeing more and more, but it's not all there yet. I really feel perhaps that this Queen of the Elves could help jostle the memory or figure out who this person is who's there when I meditate. I'm getting much better at communicating with her.
Yes.
So, but it doesn't sound like she has much time. So.
Oh, that does definitely sound dire.
She also says she's responsible for my memory loss. She tried to protect me or something, and something. She blames herself for it, but I don't have the complete story yet.
I see. Well, it definitely sounds like even if this is some figment of your imagination, it is at least very intricate and consistent. So I truly do hope you are able to find what you are looking for.
Thank you. Now, with the delegation to kind of an afternoon shift, are you guys doing financially okay? We did complete a very good mission, and I would be happy to help my sister out.
No, we are doing well enough. The money is not as good as the evening performances, but it is still the Muse, and they pay quite well. And we are not staying there at the same time, which means we are saving a bunch of money on that. So, yes, we are not wanting at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think then just finish up with small talk, catch up, kind of reestablish familial bonds. Words.
Yeah. Yeah, you spend sort of the evening chatting with her a little bit more and sort of learning a little bit more back and forth, and yeah, have a good evening with them. Anybody else is going out at all in the afternoons or evenings?
There was some chat in the evening of potentially going back to that fighting pit at the what's it called? The Axe and Horn.
At the Axe and Horn Tavern. I believe it had been vaguely mentioned. I'm not sure if that had gone anywhere or not.
Yeah, I don't know if others are interested. Talon's just, having spent some money, feeling like maybe he wants to try to win some money.
Yeah.
You could see if, I think Jacob will probably be a little later returning, but you could see if Mint and Torok are interested.
Yeah, Tor would go.
Yeah. Excellent.
Okay. Looking at the time here. Yeah, we could do a quick run through of that and then take a quick break and sort of move on to other things from there. Everyone remember the rules for how it works?
Vaguely.
So you get a choice of 4 different roles, but you have to pick 3 of the 4 if you go that far. And again, it's an athletics check, an acrobatics check, a constitution check with a bonus of your hit dice, your highest hit dice, or an attack roll are the 4 options. And I guess the other question is, did you want to participate in the moderate level fights again, or perhaps take it up a notch? The purses for winning are just a little bit bigger.
What's the DC for the next highest level?
2d10 plus 5.
And the one we were doing was 2d8
Plus 5. Yeah.
Sure, why not?
But it could end up
Sure.
being up as high as 25? I don't know, guys. I don't know if I can hit that.
The 4 items are an athletics check, an acrobatics check, the constitution check plus your one hit die.
Yep.
And what's the 4th one I missed?
An attack roll.
Attack.
Straight up
Yeah,
attack.
Turok says why not?
All right, so Eric's going to go for a difficult fight, and Mint and Talon.
I'll have to go for a difficult fight.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I think people mentioned the possibility of going pit fighting
Yes.
while we were all gathered together.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. We're gonna
I
have
imagine-
to.
Oh, so somebody would actually come and ask Leon?
Oh, yeah. Well, because didn't we establish that Leon, that she was there? Didn't we figure that out?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we would totally ask her. She's like, "Did you like?"
Okay. Then Leon would kind of get a look of like, no, I would never go to such a thing. But could you take Ranu with you?
Sure, why not?
Okay. And so then Leon goes and you know the spot, Rob, goes and hangs out on that rooftop. And then Ranu basically just, perched on your shoulder kind of thing until you get into the actual pit fighting area, and then goes and sits in the rafters from a good vantage point. And,
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've
Leon does
established.
not attend the pit
Yes.
fighting.
And Gildy is certainly invited too. I don't know if Gildy would actually join.
Guilty would not join.
Talon, are you going to do the difficult level fights?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm scared.
What
Put
could
my
possibly
D8s
go
away.
wrong?
All right. So yes, same process as last time. So who wants to go first into the pit? It is another rowdy evening. You've seen the sort of the lower level fights happen. There was some of the usuals that you saw before. The sort of scarred half elf woman and the dwarf that had fought Jacob last time. Both been fighting so far. You haven't seen Kess yet tonight.
Just to remind me, for the higher level fights,
Yes.
you get to go in wearing armor and
That's always a
bring
choice for any
weapon.
level.
Oh, it's a choice
it's-
for any level. Right,
Yeah, it's
right.
just as long
Okay,
as it's
thank
sort
you.
of equal that you both know you're going in with either all armor and weapons or just sort of bare fists and that sort of thing. So yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All
Cool.
right. Who wants to go first?
Talon.
Turok. Oh,
Or
okay.
Dora, I think.
All right.
You can fight against each other. I think that's funny.
Oh, God.
So yeah, Torok gets in. There's a rather significantly like bulky human that comes down to face you. He's sort of bald, but doesn't look old per se. But yeah, looks like he's seen his fair share of action, and more than just sort of the strength. You get a sense of sort of there's some speed and agility here in this guy as well. All right.
You can do it, Tor.
Yep. What would you like to roll first?
He'll do the athletics check first.
Okay.
But we also have to put wagers.
Oh yes. What are you going to wager on this fight?
What? So what are the
odds?
at this level? Or
At this level, they're giving 3-1 for Tor.
Oh, in favor of Tor?
No, against Tor.
Against Tor. So we could get 3 back for betting on him. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll put down 10 gold.
All right.
I feel good. I'm gonna put down 20.
All right. 10 and 20. All right.
Is Jacob here, or is it that he's joining later, or not at all? I missed.
You probably left a note for him. He hadn't quite arrived back when you left, but maybe he might show up a little bit later. Yeah, and I'll let I'll let you decide, Rob, when you'd like to hop into this. If you want.
Sure.
All right. Yes. Give me your first roll. Oh
29.
my! All right. So there's a bit of sort of, stalking back and forth. This guy is definitely sort of sizing you up, taking his time, doesn't want to rush in. Do you make the first move?
I think in this case, Tor would.
All right. Describe it.
It would, for Torok, it would probably be looking for the right moment when the opponent is focusing on something and then just making a very dramatic forward motion.
Yep. He looks like you just catch this sort of glance down at maybe he's like trying to take out your legs or something, and you sort of rush in at that moment. He definitely doesn't seem to be expecting it. He sort of, gets his arms up in time, but you just sort of, come down, grab him, and sort of almost pick him up and throw him on his back. I think like sand sort of goes flying in all directions. He gets this like, breath out of him. You've definitely winded him for that by part of the fight, and you are up by 1.
Woo!
Woo!
Considering he can't get above a 25, you would have to have won this part of the fight. So. Yes. What would you like for your next roll?
So I just want to double check I'm doing this right. So for
Yes.
the Constitution one,
Mm-hmm.
is it a D20 plus the 3 for con and then plus a hit dice?
Yes.
All right, so he's definitely doing that one.
Yep. All right, and I have mine. Okay. 19.
Nice.
All right. This guy gets up and he sort of, stretches himself out a little bit. He's like, okay, reassessing you. Next part of the fight, he again sort of you wait a little bit, but then he starts to come in, and he actually gets you in this like nice little sort of lock that for a moment you're sort of locked up and you can't move, and he sort of gets you back up against the wall, and he's trying to sort of force you down, but you manage to finally break out of that and sort of step away a little bit. You spin around, slap him with your tail, and that sort of dazes him for a moment. You just come in with like a good clock to his face. Eyes glaze over, he goes down.
Woo!
I hate to throw away my money, but I want to ask. So I'm looking at the roll of 1d20 plus 3 plus 12. Wouldn't it be plus 1d12?
Oh, yes, it would be a plus a d12.
Sorry, I mistyped that. All right, let's try that again.
I'm like, you rolled a 4. I'm like, 19. Wait a minute. Huh.
That's a good point. I missed that.
Oh, there you go.
So it happens slightly quicker than actually you think it happened. He had rolled an 18, and with your 19, I'm like, okay, it's really close.
Yeah.
But no, nope. You give him the tail to sort of stun him. You have the fist, he goes down. Yep, no, he never had a chance. He doesn't quite get up for that one, not quite so quickly anyway, and you have won the fight.
Nice. Go, Tor, go.
And you get your pot of 100 gold.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh, you got a pot?
Yeah.
Oh!
Winner gets the pot, right?
Yeah.
It was 50 for the last one.
So I got 30 on that.
Yeah.
Nice. We're all winners.
Right. And now you can grow your own food on the trip.
That's not how that works. We're in motion. I can't just. Anyway.
All right, who wants to go next?
Leon, during the fights,
Yes?
Leon would both be trying to study the different combatants' maneuvers and styles and things like that, but also be trying to determine how the fights were determined, how it was determined who their opponent was going to be. And we'll basically, eventually, after seeing a number of these, I'm going to be hoping that you'll let Leon give them some kind of advantage against at least certain opponents who she's viewed a number of times, or help them figure out, okay, this is the person who I know how to fight. Here's what you need to do. Here's when you need to be in the line of fighters to actually pair up with them, so that she can basically start to give them an advantage.
You're the coach. All right, you can do this.
Yeah, pretty much.
The strange thing that happens as Torok is climbing out of the arena is what type of a dragonborn are you again? You're blue?
Blue.
Yeah.
Lightning.
And that's lightning?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's these arcs of lightning that seem to like come out of nowhere and sort of hit Torok and then sort of arc off again. And the crowd is like, ooh, dazzled by the strange effects. Torok, you don't notice anything. Although you do notice in the next moment, the crowd sort of gets this weird sort of reaction. And Mint and Talon, what you see is a rather large and surprisingly beautiful flower growing out of the top of Torok's head.
You know, when a tomato grows out of your forehead, it kind of gets you thinking.
Just sort of growing out the top of his head, it's got this nice sort of blue flower to match Torok's coloring. Yeah.
So Talon would go in after the fight, give Torok the Silver Lake equivalent of a fist bump.
Yep.
For a good job. And in doing so, kind of like pauses and starts to look up at the top of Tor's head.
Mint walks up to Tor and just goes, like, yeah.
Tor picks her up.
And she starts inspecting, like, how it's growing out of his head. Is it, like, from skin? Does it look like it's plant?
Yeah. It looks like maybe where the lightning struck him, there's something that is now growing out of that spot in his head.
She pokes kind of the join.
There's a slightly sensitive spot on your head, Torok, and you look up at this point, you can actually see this sort of little bit of a flower that's just sort of hanging over you.
What?
Yeah. Sounds like, has that always been there?
Torok looks at Talon. Have you been paying attention?
So Torok, I don't know much about dragon mating rituals, but are you like pollinating or something? Are we supposed to find like other flowers for you?
Are you going to take his flower?
Can
are we supposed to-
Torok?
are
No
we supposed to-
deflowering Torok.
I'm
no
not
deflowering.
I'm not claiming that. I mean, do we need to find you a female dragonborn who's got a flower on her head? Like,
Does Torok know where Ranu is at this point?
Yeah, you probably have a good sense for where the hole is.
He's facing Ranu. He just does this until Ranu looks, and then does this.
Mint is also helping. She's pointing at the flower too.
Give me the roll of any dice. I just need an odds or evens.
I'm assuming Torok's gonna roll that.
Odds. Okay, good.
Scared now.
I'm personally kind of picturing they're like behind where Ranu is. So then Torok is just like making noise, but like, hey, Ranu, and then Ranu just rotates its head all the way around, like just looking.
Yep.
That's great.
He's running
Alright.
now, right?
Yep. And you sort of feel this bit of weird energy that sort of flows up through your head and into this thing. And I'm guessing Talon's probably the one who's right in front of you. Talon, what you see is this sort of aura of around the flower that sort of starts to glow and then sort of shoots this beam at you.
Uh-oh.
It doesn't really affect you. You actually feel really good, and sort of a little warm and fuzzy all over. And yeah, you're not quite sure what that did, if anything.
Oh no, you're pregnant.
No, Talon's a hippie now. He's been hit with flower power.
Nice.
Like that explanation better.
Yep.
The Tor Bear stare. All right.
Oh, jeez. His hair grows. It's now parted in the middle. He's got a headband, and he's just like,
Poor bear stare.
peace, man.
Oh,
So you have a flower growing out of the top of your head. I'm going to figure out how many days it's going to be there.
At that point, Jacob walks in.
All right, there we go.
Can I make an Arcana check to identify what
Yes, you may.
this is?
Good luck.
I think when the flowers started glowing, Mint jumped off Tor's back at
Yeah.
that point wants nothing to do with this.
Darn it.
All right. With your Arcana, you are looking at this and thinking, I have never heard of anything like this before, except perhaps with the oddities of wild magic that might spawn strange things. That is the only closest sort of explanation you have to what this might be.
All right.
Right. So, Dor has a flower on his head. Who wants to go next?
Talon to go, but first he welcomes Jacob in and says,
Yeah.
Torik's got a flower on his head.
Ah. Did he lose a bet? How did that happen?
What? You won a fight?
Oh, good
You
job.
fought? Amazing.
I was really waiting for Jacob to say, has that always been there? Because that would have been amazing.
Oh, God.
His memory's been getting better.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, you can make your bets on who would like to.
I'll
next.
go next.
Mint's going next.
I'm really hoping a flower doesn't sprout out of my head.
We'll see what you roll. All right.
Oh God.
What would you like to bet on Mint? Mint, your opponent is actually another gnome. They've actually sort of found somebody that sort of around your size. Another gnomish woman. She looks to be the best sort of description is like you think maybe she's got some monk training. She's sort of wearing these sort of loose flowing robes and sort of has this like confident swagger to how she's holding herself and sort of stretching herself, doing some like rather intricate stretches. You're like, okay, this person's very flexible.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine.
And they're also giving you 3-to-1 odds.
Oh yay. Cool. That is cool.
All right. What are the bets?
Talon learned from Jacob, so he's going to double his bet.
All right, you're at 40.
Yep.
I can't bet on
Tor's-
myself.
Tor's betting 20.
Okay, and Jacob.
I'll bet 40 also.
All
There
right.
you go, 10. If you fall off the horse, you just get back on.
Yes. The proverbial bell rings. You can come out swinging. What would you like to roll first?
I'm going to start with my acrobatics roll.
All right.
All right. Did that not work?
No.
Darn it! All right, fine. I'll do it this way. Thought I'd try doing it like all the cool kids, and it didn't work.
Oh. There you go.
Oh,
Okay. So yeah, you sort of limber up yourself. You're trying to match some of the stretches that the other gnome is doing, and you try and mimic one of them. And there's this weird kink that you get in your side, and like, oh crap! And that's sort of still there when you start the fight. The other gnome sort of comes out, flipping and spinning and doing all this crazy stuff towards you, and you're like, oh crap, oh crap. Then they slip in the sand. But still managed to whack you in your face with one of their feet completely accidentally, which still sends you down sort of spinning, but that actually fixes the crick in your side, which is great. However, they have won the first stage of the fight. You both rolled particularly bad.
That was awful.
What would you like for your next roll?
I did not enjoy that at all.
No, you have the scent of monk foot on your face at the moment, yes.
Oh, that's the worst. They don't wash their feet often enough. They're waiting for other people to wash their feet.
All right.
So I can do con plus weapon?
No, con plus hit dice, which for you is still a d10, so yeah.
Okay.
So con,
I just rolled
d20
it.
plus your con bonus plus a d10. All right.
All right, so I'm not sure how to do it, so I'm just going to do 1d10 plus 1, and then I'm going to roll a d10, and we'll just add it together.
Sure.
Because why not?
Yeah. So 16 is already pretty good. Plus 2, 18. Okay.
Nice. That's better.
Yep. So you get up, they come in again and sort of pepper you with all these punches, and you're like, oh, backing off, but you're like taking it relatively well, and then you just sort of get fed up and sort of just reach out and sort of grab their head and bring it down into your knee, and they completely weren't expecting that. They go reeling back, blood sort of coming out their nose. You're not sure if it's broken or not. You have won the second stage of the fight.
I can't bring my knee up. One moment. There we go. Trying.
Okay, what
Nice.
would you like
Yay,
for
go mint.
your third roll?
All right. Okay. I guess I could try the weapon version one.
Yep.
Okay, so it's a D6. Not a D6. Sorry, it's a
D20 plus 6.
yeah +6. That's what I meant to say.
All right.
Roll well, please.
16.
Decent.
All right.
Fingers crossed, guys. Fingers
You're
crossed.
feeling a little more confident now that you've sort of had that win. You come charging in before they're sort of completely accepting or prepared for it. And yeah, you give them sort of a couple good punches. They sort of stagger back. That seems to sort of clear their head. They come in again. They sort of this grappling, holding. She sort of flips you over backwards, and you're sort of stunned for a moment. But then as she tries to leap down on you roll out of the way and bring like a foot up and a knee up into her side. You're sort of rolling around, and then finally you just get in one good punch and sort of completely knocks the wind out of her, and you're able to sort of otherwise pin her down for the moment. You have won the fight.
Woo!
Yay!
By 1 point.
Do-do-do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well
They
done.
did not roll well except for that last roll, and even that was
I'm mad at you because now you mentioned my foot, so now I have to bring my foot up.
you don't actually have to act out the fight. This is role playing, which is
Fair. It's fair.
and as a bonus, when you come out of the pit, there is no flour.
That's the way we do it.
Just your prize money of 100 gold pieces.
Ooh, I got prize money, baby.
Yep. And everyone else gets their winnings, so three times what you'd put in. Jacob, I'm not sure if you had wanted to sign up for any fights, otherwise it would be Talon.
Jacob got remarkably drunk during Mint's fight, so...
Ah,
How did you get that drunk that fast? You just got here.
Willpower!
The talent.
yep. All right. So is that to say that you would sign up for a fight,
No,
or that
no.
you're not going to?
I'm having more fun betting than fighting.
Okay, all right.
All
So Talon is next.
right.
Talon, yes, you get into the ring. There's like even some people like chanting like Talon, Talon. Some like somewhere like 2 or 3 people in one like back corner of the crowd. You're like, you remember you beat like Kess, who was like one of the champions last time, so that you apparently have a bit of a name for yourself. That said, they've pitted you against a Minotaur.
Oh, good. This will go well.
Sorry, a mini tour? Oh, that shouldn't be.
It's also a half-size tour.
Yeah, exactly. No problem at all. Yeah, he doesn't even climb down the ladder. He just sort of leaps down and like thuds down into the arena and sort of like, holds one of his hands up and everyone's like, whoa. You get the feeling he's almost used to sort of playing the villain in some of these fights. And he sort of looks at you and like doesn't even say anything, just sort of points at you and glares.
Does
I'm guessing he
Minotaur
feeds
also have a flower?
No. No, the Minotaur does not have a flower. And let's see, they're gonna give you 2-to-1 odds. You did win last time, and he's still sort of a big opponent though. So it's 2-to-1 for Talon. All right. So what are the bets?
Gonna go for 20.
Okay.
Yeah, Torok will do 20 as well.
All right. And Jacob?
I will go 50.
All right. All right. So, what would you like for your first roll?
So, I have a question, and I don't know
Yes.
if it's really allowed or whatever.
Yeah.
The aforementioned egg of blessing.
Yes.
Could that apply in this situation?
Sure.
Sweet. I'm trying to remember, blessing is a 1d4 extra?
Yeah, in this case, since it's not sort of regular types of roles that you're doing, they're sort of roles representing sort of the fight in combat.
Yep.
What I would allow that to do is to give you advantage on the roll that you are rolling.
Yes. All right.
Okay. So give me your first roll with advantage.
All right. I will do, I guess, Constitution. Constitution is +1, I think? Yeah.
Then plus a d8.
1d8.
Yes. Okay. Figuring out how all the numbers work. Yes. Okay. So 21 is the total. All right. Yeah. You sort of square off with this guy as the bell rings. He sort of gives a moment to size you up, but then just sort of puts his head down, charges in. But you're sort of semi-prepared for this. Being a Minotaur, you thought maybe he might do that. So you literally take the bull by the horns, sort of grab him as he's coming in, sort of sweep him by you, and sort of throw him into the wall behind you. He sort of thuds back, comes out, throws 3 punches at you that you sort of easily dodge out of the way. You kick up, and manage to knock him back into the wall. And that time he's stunned and sort of takes a moment to recover. You have won the first phase of the fight.
Hey! Thank goodness for the blessing, because that one would not have worked.
Yeah. What would you like for your second roll?
Second one, I will do a straight up attack roll.
All right.
And it's just a, like, oh wait, no, I guess it's my attack is, sorry, +6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. And
Ooh.
that was good.
All right. He sort of shakes off his stunned and sort of comes charging back in. Doesn't put the head down this time, but like throwing punches. He even tries to like throw a hoofed kick up at you. You manage to duck out of the way of that, but he's definitely got you on the defensive, sort of pushing you back into a corner. You're realizing, you're gonna get trapped here soon. You manage to like slip out of the way, but he sort of gets a hand around your neck, and you manage to slip out of that. And you get a couple good hits in at that point when he's not expecting as you sort of come around from behind him. But he's like a really tough guy. Your hits are like hitting, and you can hear him grunting, but he's still sort of going strong. Turns around, throwing punches, but you're sort of dodging most of them. One hits you sort of side of the face, and you sort of shake it off. He comes back in again, and throws one punch that sort of, you can almost see it in slow motion, sort of goes by your face as you just move out of the way, and you grab his fist, sort of pull it in as you sort of elbow right up into his gut. And then while he's stunned, another fist comes around, and he just sort of goes this beautiful little arc backwards and lands on his back. You have won the second phase of the fight. Again, 1 point.
Oh, that was 2-1, right?
Yes, 2-1.
Yes.
All right.
Yay, I made money.
Yay.
Yeah, and he gets up, and actually for a moment, sort of the persona of the sort of, villain falls away, and he's like, quietly like, you're actually really good at this. You should come back and try more often. If you ever need me to play against you anytime, just let me know. And sort of just wanders off after that.
All right. Because Talon was going to offer, obviously, kind of fallen over, whatever, he would like have helped him up. And just, So, but,
Yeah. Yeah.
Woo.
You have won your pot of 100 gold.
Yay!
All right.
Yeah.
And you stick around for the rest of the night. Again, Kess doesn't seem to be out tonight. You're not sure if it's maybe because she's otherwise preparing to go on an adventure or not. But yeah, you don't see her here and around. But yeah, there's a couple other sort of really fantastical fights. Some full armored, like two full plate greatsword knights sort of really going at it, bashing each other. A couple other sort of interesting fights, and at the end of the night you're like, this is nice. You've maybe made a couple other bets, maybe lost a little, won a little, but we'll sort of even out with what you've won so far.
Cool.
And you head back feeling like you've accomplished a little bit of something as well.
That was fun.
And that seems like a nice point for us to take a quick break before we come back and move on with pretty much the next day and see how things happen from there. So we will be back in a moment, and join us again for the next half of the next level. Hello and welcome back to the next level. We have finished up the pit fighting for the evening. Everyone was going to have a nice relaxing rest, and we will join up with our heroes the next morning, which dawn is a little bit cloudy, a little bit overcast, sort of maybe a bit of a light rain falling. And I'm assuming Leon has otherwise sort of related to the group that they need to wait around at least one more day. Is there anything significant people want to do in this last day that you have potentially before you go?
So yes, Leon wants to talk to Jacob in the morning if we're all having breakfast at the same spot. If we're not, she will go and locate him to have a conversation with him. And then wants to spend the rest of this day kind of planning together like how we're actually going to do this so that we're not just running in, flailing around hoping for the best.
All right.
We're going to formulate a plan, and we're going to take stock of all of our useful items and things.
All right.
And then we're going to run in and just see what happens.
I'm hoping not. But even if we do, Leon will know what capabilities we have, so Leon can start being like, hey, do the thing. Use that item that you have. Oh, yeah. And hopefully do that.
Plan is a four-letter word.
It's true. So to Jacob, Leon suggests, did you want to see if your sister and her companion wanted to join us in our quest in the Shadow Forest?
I don't think they're... Well, she has a gig, and she seems comfortable in this city. She didn't really give much indication that she was looking for a life to throw herself into a life-threatening situation. I could always ask, I guess. Doesn't harm.
Could ask. Indeed.
Okay.
Other assistants, bards have useful abilities, so they would be an excellent addition to our team. There may be treasure and or renown.
Oh.
This is true.
I could I say they could be junior members of Team Torchlight?
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned, certainly.
It could be candles.
It would be nice for them to travel with us, but if anything ever happened to my sister, I don't think I could forgive myself for that. But we have a big fancy stone that resurrects people, so I guess it doesn't matter.
It's true.
Oh wait, I didn't say that out loud.
It is revivify, which means I think you have to get to them within 1 minute. So
Yeah, 1 minute.
Yeah. That's plenty of time.
that is generally plenty of time in combat, yes.
Yes, and we now have many ways. You have healing word. I will have healing word. We have various other ways to awaken people.
This sounds good. So what I think I'll do is go for my 10 a.m. gambling session, followed by a light lunch, followed by my 12:30 gambling session, and I think I should be able to find some time within that to go find where my sister is.
Perhaps you should skip the gambling sessions, since last time you ended up being kidnapped, and just talk to your sister.
Oh, but last time I met that, do you remember what her name was? She had a thing for me, I'm pretty sure. I wonder what she's doing now.
I think it was
Yes.
Iris.
It was Iris.
Hold on, give me a second. Leon knows the name right off the top of their head, but I have to look this up in my encyclopedia that I've created.
I actually know her name, I'm just playing it cool.
Do you mean Sergeant Iris Jorat, the half Golgath? Yes,
She was tall.
she was.
Anyways, so we were talking about gambling.
No, we were talking about inviting your sister and her companion to join our group. And
To go
assist-
gambling?
No.
Oh, the Shadow Force. Right. I'm back
Yeah.
I'm back on track.
Oh, good. Yes.
Right.
All right. And then I suggest that we plan. I do have the beginnings of a plan. However, I feel it would be helpful if we list our assets that we bring so that we can have a complete plan, including all of our items. By the way, Torok, that flower on your head.
I thought Torek was reaching for a flower. He just reached up and
I don't know anything about it other than it appears similar to effects that I've heard of from wild magic. There are individuals, sorcerers, who naturally just are able to warp magic to their desires and will often have chaotic results. Now, you have random magical effects. Were you raging, perchance? You didn't appear to be.
I didn't need to.
That would be rather ironic, to rage and the effect to be a flower to grow out of your head.
The rage flower.
It's new.
All right. So I mean, certainly Leon is going to inspect it, use detect magic and everything, take a closer look with Arcana and whatnot.
It is probably radiating a faint aura. Give me a moment.
It is radiating a faint aura and has a faint aroma of
Helmet.
As
Evocation.
evocation.
As Leona's inspecting it, Gildy says, "Well, it's a nice flower."
Again, I was expecting Gildy to say, has that always been there? Anytime
Gildy's
anyone
more
comments...
observant than that. Gildy knew that was new.
No, I know, but now anytime anyone says anything about it, I expect it to be, has that always been there? All right, so among our assets, so obviously we have the liquid light, which Torok has. We have the bullseye lantern. Bullseye lantern rod. I will have my ring of healing. Minusette has her stone of healing. Obviously, Gildy has her bow. Torok has his axe. Minusette has her new hand crossbow. Talon has his boomerang.
Don't forget Jacob's hat.
You almost forgot the most important part of this plan. It is pivotal.
That actually could be an interesting distraction. To suddenly have pigeons, or doves as it were, explode out of your head.
My concern
Or
is,
doves.
if that were to happen in the meantime, while Torek has his condition, would the pigeons perhaps attack said flower on top of Torok's head? It could be quite painful for him.
I don't think pigeons are known for attacking flowers.
Oh, right, I'm thinking bees. Never mind.
Though we do know for sure they will not
Slightly
poop
different.
on my head.
That is true.
They may poop on the enemy's head. They may poop on your head. I can't say. I can only say they
indeed.
won't poop on my head.
Please let me know before you set off your dove hat.
Should I give like a call sign?
Yes.
Caca? I will scream caca just as I release the doves.
I'm thinking before, so that I can create an umbrella over my head. I'm not joking, by the way. I am not joking.
It's the thought of Jacob saying caca and then doves appearing. It removes any majesty from the entire situation.
There was majesty there, really?
There could have been, but
I mean-
there's nothing.
Could literally be a wizard pulling doves out of his hat. I mean,
It is a jaunty hat.
mhm.
I wear it well.
All right.
But are we actually all here, or is it just you and Jacob?
I'm assuming you're all here to discuss
Yeah.
things. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
And Minusette has her boots to move quickly.
I have a drift globe.
Yes, drift globe. Yes, of course.
Oh, I have my goblin hand.
Yes.
And what does that do?
Gobbles.
Gobble, 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 gobble.
It gives me it makes it more likely that something I want to happen will happen, but then something weird could happen along with it.
All right.
So, for example, do you remember those weird little creatures that appeared in our last battle at Gildy's house? They were.
I'm not sure if
I'm
Leon saw the
pretty.
flumps. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that most people were dying in the basement. So I don't think we were witness to that.
That's fair. Oh, did you also put on my my pyromaniac peppers?
Yes.
Right. And that gives you a fiery breath weapon, yes?
That's true.
All right. Does anyone else have anything that they think would be particularly helpful? Jacob, you have your goggles, and you can make your potion once a day. Oh, and you have your homunculus now.
Edgar.
Yes.
Gildy doesn't have anything else that's useful in battle, but she has the Seeking Stone amulet, and she has the Brooch of Stamina.
Right.
Actually-
And there is something in or around your ear that has divination abilities.
No, it's evocation and it's Tor.
Okay, so when Leon mentions that, Gildy is very surprised, and she says, "Well, yes, I'm surprised that you noticed that. It helps me to understand and speak more languages."
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Right. And your bow and Talon.
If you're recalling things that you have seen with magical auras, there is Torok's Stuffy.
Yes.
And my egg.
Yes.
Yes.
A rock of skipping.
And our
skipping
skin
stone,
of
I
endless
guess.
mead.
Yes.
Yes, the skin of endless mead.
That will definitely come in handy.
Yes. Leon does not mention those as they don't really have applications.
If we get our opponents drunk,
Um,
I think that might give us an advantage.
And Gildy says, "Oh, and Alphonse bought this egg. Tell them about it, Alphonse."
Well, there was this woman who approached me. She seemed very keen and saw that I was looking for the most prized of items and told me that she had this magical egg that, when broken, would produce a mythical beast of some form. I was skeptical, of course, but I did check out the egg, and there could be mystical beasts that come out of this. It did seem to radiate a bit of magic, so perhaps there could be something that happens when I break this egg. I admittedly may have paid a whole lot for nothing, but it is possible that I could summon a beast of some sort.
okay.
While Alphonse is saying all that, Gildy is mostly like fairly stoic and not really reacting. But when he says, "I was skeptical at first," that's where she rolls her eyes.
Alphonse has been nothing but helpful and solid the entire time we've ever interacted. So Talon is like, oh, very cool.
Detect magic. Is it actually a magical egg?
Yes.
Okay.
It is radiating probably
Conjuration?
yeah, minor conjuration.
All right. I can confirm that this is, in fact, radiating conjuration magic, which would be the proper magic for summoning a creature. It appears it was
Good.
correct.
Glad
And
to hear it.
and undoubtedly, the conjurer seems ever so slightly jealous of the conjuring egg. That she-
No!
We've
What happened to the
disappeared.
meat?
where
We're all
have we gone?
invisible. Can you still hear us?
What happened?
Can you still hear us?
Yes.
Okay, yay.
We haven't even entered the Shadow Forest yet.
Somebody turned out the lights. Yes.
Who turned out the lights?
How did it lose all of us?
Use the
Hey, who turned out the lights?
Torok,
Technical difficulties.
use the liquid light, Torok.
Talk amongst yourselves. Yes. Any other items that you want to bring up while we're...
Torok holds up his nails. He did use the liquid light. It's great.
Oh, jeez. That's what I was wondering, was if Torok were to drink the liquid light, would the flower glow?
Oh, goodness.
Do not drink the liquid light. We've talked about
It's
that.
got to be a warning label on that.
There is.
Probably a few.
All right. So I propose that we go to the dome, which we know where it's located. That we get as close to it as we possibly can, secretly, quietly, together. That then Talon uses his ability to disguise himself. He disguises himself as either one of the transformed creatures or possibly one of the various naturally occurring monsters that we've encountered, such as that ogre being or the render, the shadow render, and enters the dome first, before any of the rest of us do. We then attempt to use the message stone to see whether we can communicate through the dome. If we can, then Talon, remaining hidden, finds the best place for us to enter, where we will be both hidden but then have close access to the general minions, the transformed beings. We will then enter, use ranged attacks to target as many of them as possible. I will then put as many of them as possible to sleep, and while they slumber, we'll take out the spellcasters and the monsters. As I feel that they are undoubtedly too far gone or naturally occurring creatures, which we cannot recover from the ritual. However, the ritual will be able to return those transformed beings to their natural selves. Then there will also be those other beings who are, of course, carrying the shadow from the small globes to the larger ones, and those undoubtedly we will not have to fight as we didn't last time.
This
And then we-
scenario sounds far less complicated than the last scenario Yeah.
Well, indeed, this is because now we can actually plan. This is what I've been talking about. We can use our intelligence to figure out a plan to deal with it and strike in a very controlled fashion. And then we can hopefully also gain some insight into where, if there are portals within this dome, where those go, and hopefully get a sense of where we can move from here. And once we've gleaned as much information as we can, we then destroy the dome, perform the ritual to recover the individuals, and then carry on from there. Undoubtedly coming back to Silver Lake to rest and recuperate and return those individuals, hopefully, to some of their loved ones.
Guilty contemplates, and she says, "That's a good plan. What happens if the message stones don't work through the dome?"
Plan B.
If the message stones don't work, or Talon enters and discovers, because he's going in blind, that he's discovered and people are like, "Oh, what are you? You are an enemy," then we just go in and deal with things as much as we can. However, the plan is that the spellcasters and the creatures, the monsters, we defeat them, no holds barred. However, the kind of the lower grade minions that we encountered, who in previous encounter were the largest group, we target them where we do a little bit of harm to each of them to hopefully make them weakened so that my sleep spell will be as effective as possible on as many of them as possible. But we don't want to kill them, we want to rescue them. So we hurt them so that they're more susceptible to sleep, but the spellcasters and the monsters, we take them out.
But if the disguise doesn't work and the message stones don't work,
Yes.
how do you know?
I think we have to time it. So we give you so much time alone in there. How much time are you comfortable being alone in there, Talon?
Well, no, I was thinking as soon as you go in, we attempt to use it, and if we don't get an immediate response, we go in. We assume the worst, we go in.
What if there's a gigantic pit inside the dome and he's fallen into it? We wouldn't hear from him, and we would also fall within the pit.
Why would there be a random pit in a random location?
Why is there a giant dome in a random location?
Because beings have actually intentionally placed it there. We did not... Well, there was no pit in the original dome. Why would there be one in this one? And why would he not... Falling into a pit doesn't stop you from being able to communicate.
Are we sure there wasn't a pit? It was very dark.
If there was a pit there, I would remember, trust me.
There was no pit.
Okay.
Alan has now shown that he is very good at fighting in a pit.
It's true. All right. Are we in agreement? Does this sound like a solid plan?
As solid as any of your plans that we ended up not obeying right away. That's my only concern at this point. It does sound like a great plan.
Well, as long as you can stick to the plan, then it should go well. And if you don't, well, then that's not on me. I've done what I can.
It's true. It's true.
And we'll continue to work from this towards that plan. Now, Talon, do you think that you can handle sticking to the plan and working together with us and not running off and doing your own thing?
I think so.
Excellent. I'll check in with you again on that matter.
Probably a good idea.
Okay. You've had a nice planning session. Sounds like you've got a good approach to this.
One question though is for all of us: do we wish to hire more people to bring with us on this journey? We already have, we already have the twins and Kess, and you're going to approach your sister Jacob and her friend. Do we need any more people than that?
Is Alphonse going to accompany us?
Yes.
I assumed Alphonse was, but you're right. That's better to check.
Personally, I would think that that's more than enough.
Oh,
Based
okay.
on what we've seen. It certainly won't be a cakewalk, but I don't see a benefit. We want to be able to approach the dome quietly and hopefully get inside quietly. And the larger our numbers, the more risky that becomes. We do want to be able to have the element of surprise on our side. The more people we have, the less chance of an element of surprise.
One thing I recall too was last time in the dome, we were able to free some people from the constructs that were controlling them, and they joined us in the fight if they could. So
Yes.
we're not counting on that being something that could happen, but if it can, I'm assuming we're going to try.
Well, my thoughts are that if we can take out a large number of the minions, then we can focus on the spellcasters and the monsters, which there's generally only been one that we've seen in both of the encounters that we've had with them. And
Well, so I'll correct you there. In the one dome you've been inside of, yes, it was the corrupted ones, the wizards, and the monster at the center.
right.
The second one you never actually went inside, but you did see a significant amount of other things in the party that had acquired Gerbo. There was the render, there were some other shadows, there were the shadow mastiffs that were part of that group as well.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And the sort of leader folk that had met them at the dome.
Right.
So they aren't all the same. So
And,
Yeah.
you don't know if those are always in that dome or were a special group that went to go get Gerbo, how that worked. So,
I think we can assume that that may have been a fairly special group and that we wouldn't necessarily encounter all of those beings. I'm personally, because they wouldn't have weaponry, I wouldn't necessarily count on the individuals who are taking the shadows, the ones who are not completely corrupted but are on their way. I wouldn't think that they were a particularly useful fighting force.
okay.
So I would think we can leave them out of the battle, deal with what we need to, and then free them once we have everything under control.
Okay.
And hopefully count on them to not be part of it.
Yeah.
Because they showed no sign of it before. They were too busy just mindlessly vomiting shadows.
Gildy shrugs and she's like, they may want to fight.
yes, there's the potential that bringing some extra weapons could yield some extra fighters for you.
True, it could, but there is the counterbalance of... So, those individuals, while they may wish to fight, how strong are they actually going to be in their weakened state? Plus, we then lose competent fighters to attempt to free them, which was never a certain prospect. As I recall, Gildy, you had to whack people in the head multiple times before they woke up, and that would be time that you could be spending shooting many arrows into our enemies rather than whacking people to try and wake them up, who are not nearly as capable as you are.
Gildy's flattered. She just kind of nods. She's like, yeah, it's a good point.
You're flattered that I said you're more competent than somebody who's like mostly brain dead? Wow.
I think there was the shooting many arrows thing. I think she was taking that as part of the compliment.
Yes.
Well, that's just a given. I wasn't being nice. That was just an observation. That was just an accurate description.
Gildy, you can shoot more arrows than a comatose person. Way to go.
Yay.
Oh, the compliments.
You can shoot more arrows than Leon can, so.
Yes.
More than me.
Yes. So, can we skip forward to time and go to the Shadow Forest?
All right. Anything else people wanted to do for the rest of this day? Jacob, did you want to talk to your sister?
Yeah, I would go inquire if she has any interest whatsoever. I wouldn't push it though, because I still think I'm pretty hesitant of bringing her along.
I'm assuming you give her sort of a full description of what you'd be heading into, or what you think you'd be heading into. She sort of ponders it, probably like a moment or two longer than you think she would have. But then says, I am always for being at the heart of adventure and learning new stories. This sounds like a little too much. I'm a little worried for you, brother, although you travel with some very competent companions, and you yourself have showed yourself to be very competent as well. So I will be praying for you, but I will not go myself. And Yumi's like, yeah.
It's all good.
Doesn't actually say anything, but she's like, Yumi's like, no.
You see, victory is assured. We have a plan.
Oh, it's like, that seems like a given, but yes, you okay? That's good.
Not
Go ahead.
always. You'd be surprised. We just kind of run in and do stuff. But now we have a plan.
I wish you the best of luck.
Big hug, and I don't push this at all because I think the protective side of me doesn't want to put her in danger.
Yeah, and as you leave, Yumi actually comes running out to you and sort of puts a hand on your shoulder to stop you, and seems again in this very reluctant way, sort of. I believe that Laurie has grown quite fond of you, which I suppose is to be expected since you are her brother. Do not get yourself killed. That would not make her feel good.
I am touched. Thank you, Yumi. I that really means a lot to me.
You can take it how you like. And she turns around and goes back in. Anything else?
She's a sweetheart.
Leon will be picking up their ring at the end of the day. Any other items people wanted to do?
I'm concerned enough about Torok's flower growing out of his head that I'm trying to convince him to maybe go to a magic shop or two and maybe see if there's a way of expediting his condition so that it doesn't last that long.
Well, if you water it, I mean, that might help it go through its growth cycle.
I pour water on top of Torok's head, and if he tries to, are you going to try and resist that?
He's a lightning dragon, maybe not the best choice, but
Torok has a wet head. Yes, if you want to go to a healer or a magic shop, you could do that.
hey, he's waiting for Leon to finish her analysis first. So
It would be insulting to Leon to maybe take you to another magic shop right
seeing
away.
other mages behind Leon's back.
Yeah, let's not
Right.
let's not do that.
Okay.
And I know the magic store owners, and they would tell me.
There's that too.
All right.
Let's
There was this
not
dragonborn that came in with a flower on his head, and I'd be like,
let us not raise the ire of our friend. That would be terrible.
Yeah. Okay. So the day comes to a close. Leon, you go and pick up your ring.
Yay.
It is ready for you. You pay, I believe, the other 100 that you owed. I think you paid 100 down. And again, as you're coming out of the shop, give me a perception check.
No, stop it, Rob. Stop it. Just stop it. I take it it's
You can use Rona's perception to like it.
Alright. I sure do.
Ooh.
Yes.
Nice.
All right. You catch sight of what looks to be sort of a rough street urchin sort of individual, but not necessarily a child, maybe sort of a young teen that is quite...
Not the one that I blew away from Gildy?
No. Quite intently watching you. They're trying to be sort of keep quite hidden. They're sort of just around the corner of a building with you can sort of see a little bit of them. You get the distinct impression that this is somebody who is watching you.
How far away are they?
Say about 80 odd feet.
My God.
Right. They're 80 feet away.
Yes.
That's further than I was hoping for. Give me a moment. All right. Well, I'm going to subtly try and get closer to them. Without, like, not directly, but just look like my business is taking me closer to them.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I was really hoping to do, I was hoping to get within 30 feet of them because then I was basically just going to walk directly away from them and then Misty step to behind them and be like, "What are you doing?"
All
So
right.
if I can arrange that, that would be lovely.
Give me a deception or performance, whichever of those you would like, to essentially try and make them think that you're not coming directly for them.
Haha. Well, that's going to be deception because my performance is not good. However, my deception is equally not good.
Okay. Mostly you think this goes off relatively well. However, what happens is you sort of there's a bit of a path sort of out from the magic shop, and you sort of follow that around. So it's a relatively natural way to go. You get out onto a major street, and they're sort of just across the street behind the building, and you sort of turn toward them and take a few steps, and then as if sort of you've forgotten something and you're going to go back, you sort of turn to go back. However, as you turn, you step into a puddle. And it's this weird sort of rather goopy stuff that seems to get sort of stuck on your foot. However, the Misty Step still goes off just fine. You end up behind them. Your foot is sort of glowing this interesting purplish color. But yes, you are now behind the person.
All right. And I say, "Greetings. Was there something that you wanted?"
They spin around and are doubly taken by surprise, not only by you, but also by the bubbles that are coming out of your mouth as you're speaking.
Every time I try and be intimidating, I fail miserably.
But no, they are like horrified by this, and also that the fact that you're right next to them, and they sort of stumble back and land on their butt, and seem to be trying to run away. They are currently prone for all intents and purposes, if you would like to try something.
But bubbles are going to come out of my mouth.
Yes.
This is not acceptable. Why does everyone try and run? And they are... So they're not a child.
Yeah. To an elf's point of view, they might actually seem like a child, but...
Yeah, that's true. And are they human?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Then I guess I'm going to hit them with a sleep spell.
Okay.
Because I feel like not having to deal with them.
Yep.
And wait, I can actually use one of my things now. That's not the one. Boom.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
They are out cold.
Okay. I mean, that might have been overkill, but you know, I was just like, I don't know what level they are, so boom, you're asleep.
All right. Yeah, they sort of fell back on their butt and eyes wide, and we're trying to figure out what you're doing. You cast sleep, and they just sort of keep falling back and are now semi on the road, sort of out cold, asleep.
All right.
You also feel just a little bit drowsy. You wake up about a minute later.
What?
Yeah, for some reason you fell asleep as well.
But I'm immune to being put to sleep.
It was a very odd experience for you.
Okay. And is the other person there as well?
Is actually the timing for sleep about a minute?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're just about waking up as well, yes.
Oh.
All right.
You manage to recover a little quicker than they do. Maybe it's because your resistance to sleep or whatever else, but you are otherwise up and ready while they are still a little groggy and sort of waking up.
Okay, fine. Then the patch on which they're lying is greased so that they can try and stand up, but they're just going to fall down. And I will try and interrogate them as they try, hopefully unsuccessfully, to stand up.
They try unsuccessfully to stand up.
Yay!
They sort of, scurry and trying to run away and sort of try and actually crawl away, but just sort of like hands and feet moving and not actually getting anywhere. And they're like, "Ah, don't hurt me! Don't hurt me! Don't hurt me!"
If you haven't noticed already, I have no intention of harming you. I just wish to know what it is that you wish with me.
Nothing.
That is a blatant lie. You are watching me. Are you working for someone? What is your interest? Do you need my assistance with something?
I...
Are bubbles still coming out of my mouth?
No, they have stopped by this point. Your foot is still glowing.
I was sleeping and bubbles were coming out of my mouth as I'm sleeping.
Would you like to try intimidation or persuasion?
I would try persuasion.
Okay.
I mean, it not only is it better, but it's also more
Yeah.
my own style. Persuasion. Yay! I'm not terrible at persuasion. Well, maybe I am.
All right. Yes, you said try and persuade them to sort of tell you what's going on. And they're like, I can't tell you anything. Yes, I was watching you, but because you're curious. Again, you're
Indeed.
fairly certain they're lying.
Are any of my friends nearby? How far away am I from people?
You're a decent ways away. They're probably back the other side of town at the Muse.
Oh, darn it.
Yeah.
All right, then I'm going to say, unless you wish for me to leave you here in a web so that I can go and get my friends, and perhaps you'll talk to them, I suggest you talk to me now.
Actually, that I will give me an intimidation check.
But it's just the truth.
It is, but it's also intimidating. Give me a check. There you go. All right. They're like, oh, okay, fine. All right. I was hired by someone to follow you. I don't know why. They wanted to know what you were doing and follow you around it. And yeah.
I see. How much are they paying you?
20 gold.
Do I get the sense that that is the truth?
Give me an insight check. This one you're not as certain about offhand. Maybe,
Okay.
maybe.
Wait. So I want insight. Oh, darn.
Yeah, you're not certain. Maybe that could be what they're actually being paid.
Okay.
If so, that's a good amount for sort of a street urchin to be making to follow someone.
All right.
And he's like, yeah, if you pay me 20 gold, I'll go away and forget about you.
I was thinking that I would pay you 25 gold, and you would be working for me now, and telling me about this individual who's hired you, instead of you telling them about me.
Yeah, I could tell you about them as long as it's not like I have to follow them or anything. They're kind of scary too.
Well, no, it would be so you would continue to work for them, but you would tell them nothing particularly useful about me and perhaps what I tell you to tell them, but then you would tell me about what you know of them and your interactions with them.
Can I not just run away? Like, leave you both? That would be a lot easier.
Well, it would, but it's not really worth 25 gold.
15?
How about 10?
12?
How about 10?
Okay.
How about 10 and I don't have my friend with a seeking stone hunt you down?
Seeking stone?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, sure. I'll take 10. I'll go away. You'll never hear me again. And yeah.
And yes, you will tell me about the person who has hired you to...
Oh no, that'd be like at least 15.
Fine. You drive a hard bargain. However, I will give you 15 gold if I can stop talking to you.
All right, so there's this guy. He's really big and he's kind of furry, and he came and found me and a couple of my friends and said he'd pay us some gold, a little bit, to follow you around, and just report back to him and tell him what you were doing and where you were going and who you're hanging out with, and pretty much everything about you that we could find out just by following you.
Now, when you say tall and hairy, could you perhaps give me a better description?
Sure. One sec. Nope. There we go. Give me one moment, and I will come up with a slightly better description than tall and hairy.
Okay.
Tall, dark, and hairy.
Yes. All right. Quite big. He was probably about 8 feet tall. Looked like a pretty beefy guy. But had like shaggy, sort of a dark red sort of hair and beard, and sort of looked like it was just sort of all around his face and on his arms and that sort of thing. And he sort of had this really big nose, and these sort of weird sort of sideways pointy ears. Yeah, and these really like piercing red eyes that were like scary. Like, you're kind of scary too, but in a much prettier way.
Why, thank you. No one has said I'm scary before.
Glad that's what you took from that.
All right. Well, here's your 15 gold. Where are you? I'm not going to ask where you're going to go. You won't want to tell me.
No.
Are you leaving town? Are you just finding a new location within town? You will be. My concern is you will be safe.
I don't know. I might need to get out of town for a little while.
All right. Well, I wish you luck, and I wish you the best. Pat him on the shoulder. Give him the coins.
All right. Yep. He is gone.
Okay. Does that description?
Maybe an intelligence check.
Does it mean anything to me? Like, I don't remember ever encountering anybody with that.
And it's not anybody you think you've encountered, but if you, intelligence check might. Yeah. Right now, you're just a little flustered that you're being followed, and you're a little confused. This whole encounter, and your foot is still glowing, and you're just slightly out of sorts, and you're like, I have no idea what that guy was talking about, but I hopefully would be able to at least identify this person if I saw them again. Like an 8-foot person's probably 8-foot tall person's probably going to stick out a little bit. Anyway,
Yeah.
So.
Okay. But the ears made him sound like he's not necessarily human, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Because I can't even think of what kind of species that could be. All right, then I will definitely hurry back to my companions, kicking my one boot as I go to try and get rid of the purple. Or like, I imagine prestidigitation does not remove it.
Precipitation does not, and like you get the guck off your foot, but your foot is still glowing.
Yeah, so I'm definitely like, the cat with a wet paw who's just like, as I'm walking.
And as you sort of try just to sort of do strange things with it and try and shake it off and that sort of thing, you do notice sort of by accident that if you sort of, land on it and then sort of jump a little bit, it seems rather springy. And you think that you could jump perhaps a little bit better off that one foot.
Then I guess I bound back to my companion.
There you go.
Because they'll get me there faster.
Yep.
All right, cool. And then I get back, and is my boot still glowing by the time I get back?
Yep, it's going to glow for the next 3 days.
This is
That's gonna make a nice. Leon, was this part of the plan?
no. No, it was not.
Gildy looks at it and says, "Oh, I just assumed it was one of your glowy spell things."
This is not the Leon with your boots so bright, won't you guide our group torchlight?
Leon would definitely give Gildy a look, like a scornful look at how dare you suggest that my stupidly purple glowing boot is of my own creation. How dare you? Is clearly the look she is giving.
So Leon is staring like a cat does. Okay.
Yes, very much so.
Gildy shrugs and says, "I don't know. Perhaps you put a spell on your boot so that no mud would get on it."
Seems legit.
Is anyone familiar with a being who would be approximately 8 foot tall, have
I immediately look
wild-
at Talon and Torok.
have wild red hair and a beard, and have ears that I describe as intricately as I possibly can based on the description that I've been given?
Yep. Anybody else who wants to can give me an intelligence check.
Either
Gildy, you would have advantage. You have been around a lot of different places.
either as a species or as a specific individual, as apparently they have hired people to watch me.
Oh wow.
Everybody else is like, oh, of course, it's this. Where I'm like, dude. Oh no, Torok, yay!
Sorry, you said it. You said intelligence, right?
Yes.
Torok very seriously says
Oh,
it's going to be
sweet.
Talon.
You've betrayed us.
Talon on a bad hair day.
That's right.
Oh wow. Okay. I'll do them from lowest to highest. Torok, no clue.
Well, that was easy.
Does his flower sparkle when he...
Mint, you think maybe there's something about the description that sort of rings a bell, but it doesn't really come to you at this point. Talon. Yeah, you'd think like your mind instantly goes to like Golgath, they're big people, but they're not really hairy, so you're not quite sure. Jacob got a 19. Jacob, you think, and Gildy, you're almost fairly certain, given this description, and sort of the height and the hairiness, and especially the sort of the large nose side of things, you think they might be a Firbolg.
Your Bolg?
Yep.
Okay.
Firbolg.
Firbolg.
Yeah.
Firbolg.
They're like woodland creatures, aren't they? Kind of natural.
Yeah, they're sort of very large woodland sort of inhabitants. They're not common in most realms. They sort of often stick to their own forests and that sort of thing. But yes.
Gildy relays this information.
Okay. Once I get the name Firbolg, can I make another check of history or something?
Sure.
Cool.
Does my 20 make me remember where they might live around here?
Yeah, give me one sec. I had pulled that up somewhere.
There we go. Ah, Firbolg, I know all about them.
Yes. Okay, there we go.
I give the history of the Firbolg.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that's what they looked like, apparently.
Apparently.
I just knew everything else about them.
Yep.
Yeah, well, no one's invented a camera yet. I saw book smarts, right?
That's true. That's true. It's like when you don't know how to pronounce words because you've only read them.
Yep. So, yes, what you know about Firbolgs and sort of knowing in this area, you're close to a forest. It's the Shadow Forest. You think maybe the darkness there probably would have driven any out. But there's sort of several other forests, around the Empire. There's several other forests that, like, what are the significant forests? If I look at my map here. Definitely sort of a lot in the north of the Empire. And actually, Mint, now that sort of other people are talking about this, you're thinking, yeah, way back in Gendisa, sort of growing up in the mountains, you'd occasionally come across like the Firbolgs in forests, usually sort of lone or in very small groups, just sort of nomadic sort of forest life.
Probably scary to us because they were so tall, but otherwise harmless.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're actually usually generally quite gentle in a lot of ways. The Shinzal Forest is one of the larger ones, and it's not super far away from where you are. It's just north of the Delvior Hills. Other than that, I mean, the forest's sort of all over the place, but that's sort of the largest one with a name.
Okay.
Yeah.
But nothing that we are able to piece together about. So it's not like Gildy knows, oh yeah, there's a Firbolg in town. Like that's what I was hoping for, where somebody would be like, oh yeah, because they kind of stand
No,
out.
Ted.
Like,
Ted's a Firbolg.
Yeah, right.
That's I could never remember.
Actually, I'll give everybody just give me a straight D20 roll.
because I mean, Talon has been somewhat connected with the.
Because you all been moving around town a lot.
Yeah.
So maybe you've seen something. 14, okay, and 15. Yeah, we'll say that Torok and Mint, while you were sort of off, perusing things yesterday, you saw somebody that like might match this description, but it was probably from a bit of a distance, and you're not entirely sure. Like it's one of those things where you weren't up close, so you can't be 100% sure. But like from a distance, this guy was pretty big. He had some pretty sort of similar colored hair, but it was sort of from the back. So yeah, there's almost certainly someone in town. That was in the lower merchants district where you saw him. Whether that's where he is now, you're not quite sure, but that's where he is. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. Sorry.
I guess we
Oh,
relay the info though, that we saw him in the lower merchants district, and might not be the one you're looking for, but
But what are the chances that there are a number of Firbolgs in town?
Yeah, probably.
Do we wish to pay this individual a visit before we leave for the Shadow Forest? Shall we just head to the Shadow Forest and hope that they lose interest in me and leave, since they cannot track me by magical means?
It'd be worth trying to find out why they are following you and what they want.
I mean, my hope is that perhaps it's some random person who wishes my assistance, but that may
wouldn't they
not...
approach directly though?
Well, who knows? Apparently I'm a frightening and beautiful individual. So I've been told today.
I can see times when you're scary, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
Well, if
I'll take it.
so what's the plan? Are you gonna try and seek them out, or are you gonna hopefully, that you've thrown them off your track a little bit by sending that guy scurrying, that maybe they just won't do anything?
Well, I mean, the individual did say that that the person had hired people.
Yeah.
So,
So probably seek them out and close this loop before we leave.
all right.
All right. You gotta
Gildy
roll.
says, alternatively, it could be enemies seeking you out due to your unique circumstance, in which case it may be better to disappear.
Potentially. However, I have no reason to suspect that anyone knows I'm alive, let alone where I am.
I look very innocent.
Okay. So the plan is to go looking for this guy?
I guess so.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Yeah.
would say if we are going in a direction, whether it's the merchant place, whatever, while we're going, I will certainly, or Talon will certainly look around to see if it seems like anyone is following us right now.
Well, and actually, my suggestion is, why don't we go and we can head towards the lower merchant district, but we can go not necessarily as a group. I can go. I now stand out even more with my glowing boot.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go either in groups, in small groups, or individually, keeping an eye out to see if there is anyone who is following us. We can practice getting use of our message stones. This can be an excellent practice maneuver. How wonderful. What a wonderful opportunity.
Gildy says, well, we have a description. I can try using the Seeking Stone.
Okay. Yeah, you can give that a shot.
right.
Give me a percentile roll. So D100. And we'll see if it is 25 or less. That is not 25 or less. I suppose I should have let you pick high or low before you rolled anyway, but yes, well, we'll say that, yeah. In this case, you give it the moment, and it sort of rises up and sort of wavers around a little bit, and then just drops back down again.
And points at Leo.
Yeah, but you have other means to sort of more mundane means to ask around, and again, this person should stick out at least a little bit. So
Okay. So, just because it's funny, Leon is going to, as we head out, Leon is going to craft a scarf, like just conjure a scarf and wear it. So now I'm wearing a glowing scarf and I have a glowing boot, and every once in a while uses the gust cantrip to just like make her hair and clothing kind of blow in the wind to just really attract attention.
yes, you use the boot to sort of launch yourself gracefully in the air with this nice gust coming at you at the same time, and
Yeah.
Or
And
leaping
Turok
like
runs
a
by
gazelle.
with his flowers, so the flowers just passing under you as you jump. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely Leon is being so ridiculously obtrusive
Yeah.
and so identifiable. Yeah, I'm sure the rest of the party is like, this person is a fool.
All right. So anybody who wishes to can give me an investigation check.
Okay. Can I make a perception check with Rana?
This is going to be specifically for sort of asking around and looking for this person. So it's more investigation in this sense.
Okay. Can I make a perception check for Ranu to notice other street urchins that may be
Yes.
noticing me, or randomly that individual, since we're going to the kind of part of town where that individual has been?
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Can Gildy get advantage if she talks to people she knows?
Yeah. I'd love that.
Ooh.
Oh wow. All
This
right.
was investigation, right?
Yes.
Go, Ranu. Wait, did I just roll 219?
222. Yes, you did.
Wow. Go, Ranu.
Okay. So
I see nothing.
the investigation goes a little bit slowly.
Mint's preoccupied.
No, Mint is
It's
so,
not even sure she sees Leon.
Mint is so abrupt, right? She's just like, hey, have you seen a tall person with a big nose and red hair? No, I'm sorry. Oh, and they just run away because Mint scares them.
So you're
They're expecting to see a small child because she's like tugging on their waistcoat, and then they turn their heads, look down, and go, it's a creature in armor.
angry gnome. You're sort of moving as a group, but you're sort of asking different people as you go along. And Mint is getting people very upset and or afraid. Jacob and Turok are actually sort of doing a little better and starting to get some information. It takes you the better part of the evening, since this was sort of late in the day, to finally get a bit of information. And about that point, you're thinking that this person, from the information that you received, is staying at sort of an out of the way inn called the Lonely Traveler. And about that point, that's when Ranu sort of pipes up that they think they see somebody who was sort of watching you, but then actually pretty much bolted in that direction as you were getting close to the Lonely Traveler.
Perfect.
And they sort of, you catch sight of somebody just as sort of you're coming around the corner to the last stretch up to the building of somebody sort of running into that building.
Okay. Then message stones, and we kind of communicate, and I say, okay, looks like they're headed for this. It looks like they're headed for the Lonely Traveler. Does that jive with what the rest of you have discovered?
Yeah. From everything else that you've learned, that seems to be the location you're headed for. Jacob, you're a little familiar with this area of town. This is where your cart was set up. And the sort of the half-elf that you were working with worked out with the Lonely Traveler.
Excellent.
Dangerous area, kind of.
No, you're still in the lower merchants district, but it's sort of the far corner of the lower merchants district. So if anything is going to be dangerous in the inner city, the corners where sort of you're a little bit further away from the main hub of things might be slightly more dangerous, but they're also just slightly more out of the way. So it's an area where people go to do slightly more clandestine things. It's mostly just out of the way as opposed to dangerous.
Excellent.
Where are we relative? Because if we're using the message stones, we've got to be within like 120 feet. So
Yeah, again, you're probably sort of moving as sort of a rough group,
Okay.
sort of, heading towards that sort of area of town. And as Leon communicates, you sort of probably come together again.
Well, I mean, like my interest is in having everybody still stay spread out, so we don't look like we're a group together. Because then my next question was going to be like, who would like to be my date?
A date? Like dinner and wine?
Not for real, but yes, I will buy you dinner and wine if you'll be my date, Mignacette.
Okay. I'm flattered.
So then I go over and basically connect up with Mignacette and
Okay.
pretend that we're just like meeting, and it's like, oh, how wonderful to see you. Oh, look, there's a tavern here. We should go have dinner and catch up.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's been so long.
It has been so long.
As they do this, what are the rest of you doing?
I guess just kind of watching them and looking around to see if anyone's watching them.
There's
And
shops.
probably just finding a place to get a good vantage point of the inn.
So in terms of what you're heading towards, this the city wall sort of on one side of you as you head down the street towards the Lonely Traveler in the corner. There's a rather large sort of what in the day would be sort of an open air sort of bazaar market, covered but sort of otherwise, and it's sort of a bunch of different stalls and things. Jacob, your stall was actually set up on the other side of this road next to the wall, but yeah, there's sort of that's sort of mostly closed up, and some temporary sort of structures have been put up to sort of semi keep people out. Sort of beside and sort of next, sort of through that a little bit because it's an open air, you can see that there's sort of a village of smaller houses. Gildy, that's where your daughter lives, is sort of in that village houses of that area. So potentially that's sort of, you got the inn in front of you, the wall to one side, the open air bazaar, and then sort of this small village beyond that.
How clean is this inn?
So before we get there, like from the outside, it looks relatively sturdy and clean. But yes, before you go in, is anybody else doing anything?
Torok's just keeping an eye out, worried about Mint.
Okay. So you're sort of going to stay up front, keep an eye out on things.
Yeah, in some kind of out of the way sort of spot.
Okay.
What about me? Why is Torok worried about me?
All right.
Handle yourself. Turok
Aw.
knows me.
Yeah, I'm worried for Mint as well as on Mint's behalf. It's
I actually kind of like that it's Mint that's with me. That's going to be kind of cool.
So yes, Leon and Mint, you enter the main entrance. There's a relatively large common area, bunch of people talking. It's late evening by this point, but this area still seems to be sort of doing fairly well. Areas of patchy conversation throughout the room, fairly well lit, fairly clean. As you arrive, on the far side of the room, there's the bar along the one wall, and there's a door. And you're not quite sure where that leads, maybe to the kitchens, maybe to some sort of back room area. There is a large Firbolg with dark red hair, who sort of has one hand with the door half open and sort of looking back and sees you and heads out that door.
After him.
There's also the urchin that you saw from earlier that's just sort of sitting at a table with a small pouch of gold in front of him, gawking a little bit. Yeah, you rush through.
Now,
and
not the one who I paid off, correct?
No, a different one.
Okay.
You rush through and get sort of to that door. There is a hall and sort of an archway along this hall to one side that you can hear, you can see light, you can hear sort of the sounds of a kitchen, and then straight through there seems to be sort of a back door that leads out, and that door is just closing.
Can I activate my boots to catch up to him? Nice. All right. Do I need to roll anything to make sure I can catch up to him?
Nope. You activate your boots, you speed out the back door, and nearly bump into a woman who's sort of coming back in again.
Okay.
And she's like, sorry. She's
sorry.
A bucket of water. Looks like there's a well not too far away. Yeah.
Do I see the Firbolg?
No.
No sign of him? Okay, I try and head in the first obvious direction.
Yeah, like literally you're in sort of a corner of the two city walls. There's the well, and there's sort of where the inn is, it's slightly on an angle. It sort of opens out between the wall and the inn, heading into that sort of village of houses.
Okay.
And yeah, that's pretty much like, there's a little bit, maybe he could have gone around the corner into the other way, but that's sort of heading back towards out front where all your friends would be.
I also kind of figure that Leon may go up to get a vantage of height, and plus there's the owl.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to say. So Ranu would definitely not have come in with me to the inn. So as soon as they were heading out to the back, I would send Ranu to go and try and see where they were heading, to hopefully catch them coming out.
Give me a d20 roll, just a straight roll. Okay. Are you looking through Ranu's eyes at that moment? Or sort of were you concentrating on just being in the inn and trying to follow them?
I would just telepathically ask Ranu to go.
Okay.
To basically cut them off to see where they go, where they exit the inn, and where they end up.
Okay.
So that Ranu would hopefully see them and be able to tell me where they went.
Give me an intelligence check for Ranu.
An intelligence check for Ranu.
Yeah.
Oh, darn. That's not going to go well. Roll high. Oh, good.
All right. Ranu, so, order of events. Mint runs out the back door, runs into the woman coming back in again, who sort of holds the door open for you and lets you go, and then heads back into the tavern. Leon connects with Ranu and sort of like, do you see anything? Ranu is very confused. Ranu, again, you don't necessarily communicate sort of vocally, telepathically, but sort of through, images and sort of emotions and other things. And the sense that you get from Ranu was, yes, there was someone there, then there wasn't, then there was someone else.
Okay. Did I see this woman with the water come back in?
Yes. So assuming you've got to the door that just leads out of the common room, you would have seen her coming in the back door and sort of heading into the kitchen.
Okay. Then I will move over towards her and basically put my hand on her shoulder and say, "Excuse me, did you see a rather large, hairy fellow come through here?" And I specifically put my hand on her shoulder.
She sort of turns around and seems a little shocked and surprised. Is like, I saw someone run out the back, heading towards the houses.
All right, I squeeze her shoulder. Like she feels like not. She's not someone. She's not a firbolg under the influence of a disguised self.
Let me double check. Yeah, I'm thinking. One moment. That you are probably on the right track. Oh, what am I doing?
If it's disguised self, you get to be 1 foot shorter or taller.
Yep.
But it could be
it's
alter
also-
self.
Yeah, but disguised self is also an illusion, so it won't stand up to like physical inspection. She won't feel. She won't feel like a.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So
An
that
innkeeper.
is a curious part of this interaction. What you feel does not match what is there is number one.
Okay.
Number two, if this is disguised self, it is different because they are significantly shorter than this person was.
Okay.
So there's something odd potentially going on there. Yeah, that's what you sort of interact with, and I will give you an intelligence saving throw.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, you're fairly certain that this is disguised self, that you probably do have the person you're looking for, and that it's just some altered version of the spell.
Okay. Then I will attempt to just say, "Oh, thank you." Back off a second, pull out the message stone to be like, "Minisette, get back in here, please."
And pretty much the moment you try to do anything, you are being grappled.
Grappled.
And
But did
that's
the message
where we're going
get out?
to leave off with tonight's episode.
No.
Yep, Ione grappled in the kitchen. Mint running out away from the inn, and the others onlooking, waiting to see what might happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can join us again next time, although we might have some difference as to when we are next time. So we will keep you appraised of that on our Facebook page and on the website. We'll let you know what's going on. The website, if you have forgotten, is thenextlevelgame.com. And yes, our Facebook page is just, I believe, still on the Next Level Game. So yeah, join us, find out what's going on. We're a little uncertain when our next episode might be. It might still be in the regular scheme of things, but we'll see. All right, thanks a lot. Take care, and yeah, we'll see you next time on The Next Level.
Bye.